There is only one power and one presence in the universe, God the good, all power, ever present, all knowing, and we are one. And now if you'd like to say that or think it to yourselves with us again one more time. There is only one power and one presence in the universe, God the good, all power, ever present, all knowing, and we are one. And now for our vision statement. We are a spiritual community with a passion to share love, faith, and hope. And our mission statement. We are an accepting, loving, faith-filled spiritual community that honors all paths to God.
The word faith. And a lot of people say, quite easily have a flippant remark about it. Oh yeah, I have faith in this. Oh yeah. But when I went back and thought in my early years in childhood, I did not have a good relationship with the word faith. It seemed like when I visited all these churches when I was a kid, the ministers would always talk about people in the past having faith, and I never, as a kid, could relate to what they talked about and how I was experiencing life. And I found that in school, if I didn't study for a test and relied on faith, I would still get a D or an E. So I said, well, faith is no good here. When I got to be a teenager, I suddenly realized that some of the things I thought about doing and dreaming were starting to come true, and maybe something is going on about faith. And even though I was a very, very quiet, shy person when I was growing up, I could not deny that things were starting to happen. And I started doing a lot of reading. And I'd like to share this thought that Thomas Aquinas had. And he said, to one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. Sometimes when things don't go according to plan, we lose faith, not only in ourselves, but also in our life's potential. Failure will do that to us. So when we deal with failure, we either give up and lose faith totally, or we look for plan B. And I think in my life it was pinning something on that I could pin hopes on. That was a key for me. And I realized faith is very much tied in with hope. Faith at its core is a deep-rooted expectation of good things to come. It goes beyond hope and is steeped in the heart and in the spirit. It can't be explained away by reason or logic or understood by the material world. It's beyond that. It is the knowledge deep inside that things will get better. And it's taking that next step when you can't see the entire picture. To put it bluntly, life would fail to have reason if we didn't have faith. Faith, then, is just as important as the air we breathe. While oxygen nourishes the body and is necessary, faith nourishes the heart and soul. It's the energy that courses through every cell, muscle, and thought. The importance of faith cannot be underestimated. So I'd like to next take a look at 5 areas that we can apply faith in our lives today in 2021. Number 1, feeling the power of faith breeds abundance. Why? Faith is the tool that helps replenish abundance in the heart and in the spirit, not just in the mind. Whatever we focus on, we get more of. Does that sound familiar? I think Abraham spends a whole hours and hours talking about that. Faith keeps us focused on positivity, and we can seek out solutions, thereby resolving our problems and moving from lack back to a state of abundance. Faith is the pathway for abundance. Number 2, faith makes you stronger. Times might be bad, and you might want to throw in the towel, but never lose faith. That's your lifeline. A person without faith is like a stream without water. It would cease to exist. Through hard times with faith, you will become stronger. Number 3, faith helps you discover your purpose in life. And it's really sad when you see a middle-aged person drifting around and they give you the sad story, I never really found my purpose. I'm kind of just drifting. What are you doing now? I'm looking at the want ads in the paper. Maybe something will show up. We all go through ups and downs in life. It's faith that gives us that helping hand. It works to guide us in the right direction, helping us to discover our purpose in life. And this doesn't happen quickly, but after time, we dig down deep and somehow find the strength to make it through. That strength comes from our faith. Everything in life is far easier to get through when we have faith. It's the guiding light that helps push us towards our purpose. Number 4, faith beats stress, anxiety, and fear. It's so easy to let these run our lives, and they can increase the likelihood of disease. But it's faith that keeps our worries and stress at bay. Even when we have no logical reason to believe things will get better, it's through faith that our situations do improve. Learn to harbor faith and use it to eliminate stress, anxiety, and fear. That's not about just ignoring your problems. It's about knowing that your situation will improve deep down inside your heart and soul. Number 5, faith acts as the pathway to finding solutions. We were made to thrive, not just survive. And it bugs me when someone says, "Oh, I'm just surviving today." Well, we're built to thrive and explore and really be who we came back to be. So, faith is the pathway to solutions, and it carries the expectations of greater things to come. Finally, faith helps you achieve your goals and is at the core of a persistent heart. Thank you.
Now it's time for our open discussion of what Dan has just said. And I would like to start because he asked me as we were coming here how I interpreted the word faith. And I thought to myself, it's trust that everything will be all right. That I know even the worst thing that happens is just a lesson on the path. And I've heard so many stories of people who have lost their legs or something in a terrible situation. I remember one athlete one time on a news show or a show I was watching on TV said, I wouldn't have my legs back because the life I have now is the one I was meant to be. I think if we all have an open heart and trust God, it's amazing Amazing where we wind up. You know, places we never thought in the world. I never thought I'd be sitting here. So, are there any other interpretations of the word faith that you've recognized in your life?
Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm hearing some chirping on outside, and it sounds like crickets to me. And it reminds me of a story that when my kids were growing up, we would get pollywogs and watch them turn into frogs, and then eventually we graduated from green frogs and toads to tree frogs. And I would go to the pet store and buy them crickets for their num-nums. And one day while I'm opening the box of crickets, I did it awkwardly, and all the crickets jumped out of the box and escaped into my apartment. And I was running around trying to chase crickets. And my biggest fear was, oh my God, I've created a cricket infestation in my apartment building. And I did catch some of them, but some of them I did not. And about 2 days later, I live on the top floor of my apartment, and I'm downstairs, and the lady below me said, Mark, something beautiful has happened. It's a miracle. And I said, well, what is it? Well, there's chirping in my apartment at night. It's a cricket, and I get to go to bed with crickets singing, and it's just so soothing. And so it reminds me of having faith that what seems to be a cricket infestation of apartment turns out to be a blessing. And the other people in the apartments also saw it as a blessing. And so basically, the story ends like everyone went to bed with chirping crickets in their apartments and lived happily ever after. The end. The mics are open for anyone who would like to talk.
Yes, I wrote some notes down here because that I've always asked, what is faith? And you're right, Virginia. The first thing that came to me was trust, or a belief in something. You have faith in your parents, your siblings, or your friend, or whatever. But that's them. I mean, so that's a different faith as having faith for the unknown of how possibly something may turn out. The other note I wrote is faith can be scary because that means sometimes, all the time, as I'm talking, thinking about it, letting go. And that is not always easy for me because when I actually let go, I'm letting go on faith. I don't know where it's going to take me, but like you said, you have to trust. The other thing I wrote down here is faith to me is like when we put stuff in our body, some of it is healthy and some of it is just empty that takes up space. It's not nutrition. To me, faith is like the spiritual nutrition to our reality, whatever it is we're giving our attention to. And if you're feeding it fat stuff that gives you no nutrition, you're going to experience fear and unhappiness and emptiness. If we're able to give faith, that changes the whole thing of how you see your reality. So that's another thing they gave to me. And the thing about faith is that once we learn to use faith, we can consciously direct it instead of just letting it come in at different times, because faith is always working. People don't know that let's say when you gamble, some people can win more than others, but people have faith, I'm going to come out winning, where other people go in, oh, I'm not going to win, but I'm going to play. They don't know that they actually have faith, but it's going in the wrong direction. That's what I wrote down. Thank you.
Yeah, when I think of faith, I think of lately it's been more about when I'm letting go of a human belief or something I've held for a really long time, and I have to imagine how am I going to live? Who am I without this belief? Like there's a quote that I read recently, and I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it was basically anything that's held unexamined and looked at for a really long time becomes kind of mythological in its power. And so I'm letting go of different things, psychological stuff like a need to be needed, or people need help, or whatever, these deep things that we believe as kids. And so letting go of those, you have to have faith, like, who am I, what am I going to do without these old beliefs that don't work? So I guess for me, that's kind of what faith is believing in that God is the only power, like we say at the beginning of the service, that truly God is the only power, energy is the only power. This whole human experience has no power over me. It's not my engine, it's not my gas, to think of something different takes a lot of faith.
When you brought up the idea of faith, I just had a smile of this memory of a time I was really ticked off at a minister. Back in 1976, we had just moved to Jackson. And before that, I was living in New York State, and I was going to a fundamental church. And I had so much faith. I believed, because I believed the right things. I was going to the right church. I knew the right verses. I knew the right thing I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be church on Sunday. I was supposed to serve. I was supposed to teach Sunday school. I was supposed to contribute. I was supposed to do all these things, make sure I went to Bible school and make sure I took kids to Bible school. I'd pick up the whole neighborhood and took them to Bible school. All of a sudden, at one point, I just thought, what does faith mean? I realized faith was all on external things, what I did and believed. And I remember asking friends, I'm not sure I have faith anymore. What does faith mean? And I was quickly told to be quiet. Of course you have faith, you believe in the right things. Just remember that you believe the right things, that you're doing the right things. And I remember we were going to Bible study. I was going to a ladies' Bible study there, and we were studying Abraham and how Abraham had faith, and he followed God to go to the land he was supposed to go to, and he was going to be the leader of a great nation. And it was right then that my husband lost his job, and suddenly he's transferred to Jackson, Michigan. And so, oh my gosh, we got to sell our house. All of our family and all of our friends live in New York, and we're going to come out to this strange place. I think I still had the idea, okay, I'm like Abraham. And of course, we moved to Jackson, and what's the first thing I do? I look for another church, just like the church I used to go to. And I went to this church with this expectation. I'm following God, I'm Abraham, and this is where I'm supposed to be. And the minister gave this lecture, or gave this sermon about Abraham and how Abraham had faith and he followed God, and we should do that too. We were all being encouraged to follow God and do what you're supposed to be doing and follow God's will. And I remember thinking, oh, for crying out loud, I'm here. I want answers, not questions. You're answering questions I'm not even asking. And I guess that was my concept of faith. But I think I have since found that faith is more internal. It's a knowing.
I like, Dan, when you spoke about your early life, about how faith didn't really have a place, because I don't think that we quite have the maturity. We kind of have a setup of, well, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. And when obstacles hit, well, that didn't work, so I'll try again. And it takes a lot of hard knocks and being really afraid all by myself before I finally, there's a mechanism inside me that when the fear gets so great, I can't take it, okay, the switch flips. I'm just going to have faith that this whole thing's going to work out. So, and when it does, so it's a better practice of faith. I appreciate what you said. Thanks.
The second point I made was faith makes you stronger. I was just thinking there's a phrase that makes me kind of hesitate to even repeat it, but we've all heard it. If it doesn't kill you, it'll make you stronger. And I was thinking, I think that relates to when people are down on the bottom, they hit rock bottom, everything they've tried has failed, and they're ready to throw in the towel. But I would rephrase that as, if I don't decide to let this defeat me and overcome it and solve it, that'll make me stronger through faith. I think that's what that phrase really is meaning, but it comes across as very negative. I don't like the word. The kill to me does not have anything positive about it.
Thank you for the topic this morning. I was remembering the first time that I think I experienced faith. It was, like you said, a low point in my life, and I remember going down to the basement of my mom's house and asking for direction. And the answer was to move 2,000 miles away and start something, go to there to ask for help. Family members weren't helping, and my religious beliefs weren't helping. It took me 3 times on a bus to leave Jackson because we had snowstorms during then, and I was trying to talk myself out of it. And it did happen, and I moved to Mesa, Arizona, and I found a spiritual circle, and I was fighting my religious beliefs. I thought it was just all crazy what I'm doing. This does not make sense. I don't understand why. But I met a man, and he gave me a book called Sermon on the Mount. And that was the first different religious book I ever read. Opened my eyes up, and I thought, well, this is what people are talking about, faith. Believing in something that doesn't make sense, but still trying to follow through with it. And it was the best thing I ever did. It changed my life, changed my direction. I walked away from many situations that I was stuck in, and it was that faith that I found watching others and just doing something that I never did before. And that's where I believe my spiritual principles came from, that very, very vital lesson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you all for the lesson. Everything is really very pertinent on will and on faith. I think there is faith in perseverance when it feels like things are falling apart and not making sense and not knowing if something is going to work out, but to persevere that there may be a higher lesson or understanding when we don't know the outcome, but we keep doing our best and we have faith in this or something better. I'll pass with that.
Just inspired to say that when things don't work out, they appear not to be working around me, that is the time where it's actually the most difficult to have faith. So it causes me to dig deeper and to ask that question. How do I have faith when things don't appear to be working? So, thanks.
Thank you, Dave. And now, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever God is, we are. And that's the truth.